Well, it's interesting when you look at something like the Yalta Conference, the dynamics between the three and what's taking place behind the scene. You've got to remember that Roosevelt, by this point, is dying, and he will be dead within a few months. So he's operating well below par, you could say. Churchill also is tired, he's war-weary, and he's drinking extremely heavily when he's in Yalta. Everyone notices it. In fact, one of his chief aides criticizes him for, as he puts it, drinking bucketfuls of Caucasian champagne. The dynamics between the three are really interesting, and they were a cause of complete surprise to me, actually. I'm not sure that Stalin so much was driving a wedge between Churchill and Roosevelt, but Roosevelt himself was driving a wedge between him and Churchill. Both Churchill and Roosevelt had this bizarre desire to be close friends of Stalin. They genuinely wanted to carve out a warm personal relationship with Stalin, and they saw that the best way to do this was to show visibly to Stalin that they didn't like each other and didn't get on and didn't see eye to eye with each other. So you've got constantly Roosevelt is making jibes about Churchill to Stalin, and Churchill is making jibes about Roosevelt to Stalin. Stalin all the while is sort of rather enjoying this and looking on rather amused by the fact that these two partners really genuinely don't seem to get on. And, this was quite serious to the point where Roosevelt takes Stalin aside at one point and says, don't worry, we'll deal with the question of British India, just the two of us. But then Churchill himself is trying to do the same when he's dealing with Stalin. So famously, or maybe infamously, he travels to Moscow in the autumn of 1944 to try and carve out a separate post-war deal with Stalin without Roosevelt's involvement. He presents Stalin with what became known as the naughty document, where basically on a piece of paper he scrawls out who's going to get what at the end of the war. And it's entirely divided between Britain and the Soviet Union. Roosevelt and America doesn't get a look in. So this so-called Big Three partnership there was all sorts of tensions constantly bubbling away beneath the surface.